Welcome to FX Options University, recorded live at the International Securities Exchange, the world's largest equity options exchange. Join the industry's top trading professionals as they provide insight and strategies for trading in the currency markets using FX options. FX options are a low-risk alternative to hedging currency moves in any market condition.
I see a question here about what do I do in a day like today when I enter the market being bullish due to the trend. I'm not sure which market here, and then panic occurs when the Dow is dropping 201 points. I'm not sure which, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, Kelso or Celso. Was there a particular pair that was in reference to? So I'll be happy to pull that up here on the chart.
Raghee, how about if we were looking at dollar against the yen? And the dollar's been rallying. I think it's, I guess arguably it's been in a minor uptrend. And today it did snap back, like you said. Yeah, that dollar yen. Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do there? That maybe you're long at the top, and then all of a sudden now you're seeing it come back. What do you do? How do you look at that kind of situation?
Well, here I would go, and that's a great question. Thank you, Steve. Here's where I would go back to the basic elements of market cycles. So if Physics 101 applies, market in motion tends to stay in motion. The overall direction, the overall motion right now, based upon the one-year market memory, one-year look back, and the angle, this 12-to-2 angle of my 34 EMA wave, is pointing to an uptrend. So the trend following strategy would be, upon any pullback, I would be looking to get long. So if I'm transferring that into an option strategy, even though today was a down day on the YUK, okay, and there was, if you're looking at the dollar-yen spot, saying to yourself, wow, I'm nervous about necessarily getting long on spot with such a dramatic pullback. I feel a whole lot more comfortable getting into a YUK call. Great. What it's doing is it's correcting. To me, this is a correction. I think one of the most challenging things for most trend traders is how do they define a correction versus a reversal. So to me, this will remain a correction as long as the trend is up and prices are above the 34 EMA low, which is this red line here. So prices can pull back, but as long as this trend is pointing up 12-to-2 and prices remain above this red line, I'm going to determine that is simply a correction, not a reversal, and I can buy into the pullback. So this is very much related to my swing strategy, my trend following swing strategy, where the entry might feel very contrarian, but the overall trade is a trend follow. So as prices pull back here, I'm looking at calls, and I'll tell you the call is going to be, even though the volatility is high, the call is going to be a much better deal, much better buy in terms of what I'm looking for than if I'm trying to get into a put where I'm going to pay way up because of the volatility for that. We're trying to take advantage of the movement down. So I'm always trying to also ask myself, what's the better deal? Not just looking for a cheap option. That's not the point. But what's the better deal? And if I'm looking at an uptrending market and a correction, I'm all about looking at my calls.
Well, how about the Australian dollar against the US dollar? Can you pull that one up? Because obviously Aussie has been in such a...
against the US?
Yeah. Can you get that?
Yeah, let me see. Now that one is... Okay, so I'm not sure if that one gave me a hard time or not.
You couldn't get... or even if you get the spot and it's just the same multiplied by 100, either way. If you can't get AUM, that's okay. Or if you want, you can't get that.
Is that my AUM?
Yeah, that's it. So this is a good one. What do you see here? Since the trend is up, when would you sort of reverse course?
Sure. So let's take a look at here's the AUD. Here's the spot for now, and we can see this ceiling that's formed with arguably a double, if not kind of a soft triple top. I'd say it's a double top.
Yeah.
Prices have fairly consistently exhausted
Right.
up near this high, which is, I can't find my cursor, but this high up here, just shy, it's around 94. We keep exhausting around 94. Okay, so the Australian dollar, U.S. dollar, tends to track with commodities. Once upon a time, I'd be looking very closely at gold, but now I watch the continuous commodities index. So what I'm looking for here, and the market cycle on the 1-hour chart, if you notice, on the daily chart, here is actually not giving me that strong uptrend that I saw through March, April, May, June, July, going into even November.
Good point. Mm-hmm.
So but this is great. So this is exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that quieter, range-bound strategy. So if I jump over to the AUM, now remember, again, the AUX is the U.S. dollar, Australian dollar. The AUM is the more traditional way you'd see spot, where the Aussie comes first, then the dollar index, or then the dollar.
That's exactly right.
Taking a look here at the AUM, again, I don't have a lot of price data, but that's fine. I can see that I've got a market that's trying to get sideways. It's trying to roll over a little bit. You can use the spot as a barometer for this instead of the AUM, or if you want to pull up the AUX. But if I'm topping out around 94 and I'm getting resistance there, just like parity was our decision level for the dollar Canada, 94 is going to be our decision level for the Aussie US dollar. Now, the cool thing about options is, even though they've been messing with our ability to hedge in the spot world, we can absolutely do that with options. So if I feel that 94 is going to continue to be resistance, on the days where we're actually rallying up towards that level, I'm going to be looking at calls. I'm going to be looking at puts. So on the days that we're rallying up towards 94, up towards that ceiling, I'm going to be pricing my puts. I'm going to be pricing my puts anyways. I like to shop them. I like to, you can put out a limit order and just wait to see if somebody hits you. You can look at the way the prices change depending upon the price action on your chart. You had the option prices change. As far as timing goes, though, as far as how long it's going to take to see the follow-through lower, today, actually, if you notice here, this is not the day we want to be necessarily buying puts, at least not the way I like to do it, was a fairly negative sentiment. This did break the support of the wave. So if we are going into a distribution cycle, which I do think is what is happening if you take a look at that chart of the spot. So going into distribution, we're going to see another push up higher because the distribution prices tend not to follow through. There tends to be a lot of volatility, okay? And if you want, I can pull up what the volatility is typically on the Aussie US dollar. You can see here for the last month, somewhere in the 70 area, low 70s, 80 to the high side, but the low 40s for the Aussie US dollar. So when I take a look at the kind of movement we saw today, obviously it's a very volatile day. This is lending itself more to distribution, and I think we're going to see another pop up higher because we're just going to start to really likely wiggle around in this area. What could change this? If the continuous commodity index really starts to have a meltdown. Excuse me, if commodities really start to weaken, we'll probably see more dollar strength, and that will push the Aussie US dollar lower, in which case those puts and the AUM will really start to work. So everything's based upon really looking for exhaustion at 94 and taking advantage of the movement higher and purchasing a put.
Thank you for participating in this week's session. Please join us again next week. Get trading ideas, exchange rates, webinars, news, and commentary. Visit www.fxoptions.com. ISE FX options can be easily traded through all options-enabled brokerage accounts. These exchange-listed securities are cash-settled in U.S. dollars and have a European-style exercise.